welcome back to the mat. My name is Marella. I invite you to take a good sitting position. Press down with your sit bones into the floor. Stretch the sides of your body long. Invite your shoulder blades to come onto your back. Move your ears back. Then close your eyes, turn your attention inwards and observe your breath. Land on your mat. And as usual, we'll start with 3 ohms. I invite you to bring your hands together as if in prayer or not. Close your eyes, turn your attention inward once again. Exhale, inhale. Om. Inhale. Inhale. Open your eyes, release your hands. Word of the day is wind. So we had a very, very stormy couple of days here, and because the trees are so heavily foliage at the beginning of spring, some of them were broken, so even though they were quite strong trees, the amount of foliage in them pulled them over. And it was the more mature ones that suffered greater than the small bendy ones. The small bendy ones were able to bend and lean into the wind or lean away from the wind and were flexible and escaped the worst of damage. But the ones, the older ones, the stiffer ones, they're the ones that were damaged. And it's a little bit like ourselves in our practice. If we don't learn to be flexible in our bodies, and we get damaged all the time, easy peasy. And that flexibility then, taking it out into our life, if we haven't the ability to be flexible in our lives, we also become damaged. Either we get hurt or we hurt other people. So it's learning to apply flexibility across all areas of life, and we make a start at that straight away. Make your way into down dog. Place your hands wide in your shoulders, separate your fingers, grip the floor with your fingertips. Walk your knees back a hand's pace, turn toes under and lift hips up. Invite your hips to come high. Externally rotate your upper arms, which is turning the soft biceps towards the front of the mat. Pressing down, gripping the floor with your fingertips, lift your hips up, turn your sit bones up, and invite your heels to come to the floor and observe your breath. Focusing on a point between your thumbs. Float your shoulders forward over your wrists, lift your head, look up, engage your core, heels vertical over toes, soften your heart. And then lower down onto your knees and sit back in your heels, knees wide apart, heels together, coming into child's pose, sitting deep into your haunches, come up onto the tops of your fingers, keep your arms bright, engage your core, elbows off the floor. Inhale, creep your fingers forward, exhale, sink deeper back into your hips. walk your hands forward and walk your knees back and come all the way down onto your belly, arms by your sides, turn your palms up, press the tops of your hands into the floor, squeeze your heels together, flare your toes, inhale, lift your head and shoulders off the floor, press the tops of your feet into the floor, squeeze your legs together, lift your gaze. Come onto your hands and knees, moving into cat-cow. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Exhale, round your back up towards the ceiling. Inhale, lift your head, look up, sink down between the shoulder blades. And do 9 more rounds of that yourself. Exhaling, rounding up. Inhaling, sinking down. Just focusing on the flexibility of your spine. Moving everything vertebrae by vertebrae. Lift your head, look up. Not forgetting to breathe. Make this your last round. And come back to centre, walk your knees back, turn your toes under and come up into down dog. And this time bring your dog for a walk by bending deeply into one knee and then into the other. Separate your fingers and come up onto the tops of your toes, push back deeply into your heels. And walk your hands back and stand up. And coming into mountain, feet together, more difficult, feet hip width apart, more doable. Press down equally with the 4 corners of your feet into the floor. Squeeze your inner shins, your inner thighs, engage your core. Lengthen the sides of your body long, broaden across your collarbones, stretch arms down, stretch fingers down, move your head back, lift your gaze. Make your way to the back of your mat and place your hands on your hips. And stepping into a high lunge, lift your right foot, bend your right knee, step forward with attitude and intention, lift your back heel up to vertical. Front ankle under knee, torso upright, lift your chest, stretch your spine, squeeze your elbows back, stretch front knee away from back heel. Be careful not to lean over your front leg. Look up. Press down, stand up and pivot all the way to the back of the mat by turning your right foot in, your left foot out. Bend your left knee, lift your back heel off the floor, front knee over ankle, back heel vertical over toes, torso upright, elbows back, ears back, look up, lift the back of your back knee up and then sink down if it's available to you. And press down and stand up and step your feet together. Walk to the back of your mat again, moving into warrior one, hands together. Inhale, lift your arms up, clasp your hands together, point your index finger. Step forward with your right foot, bend your front knee, and then pivot your back heel so your back heel is on the floor. Your back foot is turned out 45 degrees. And then square your hips, your shoulders towards the front end of your mat. Bend your front knee, sink down. Press the outside edge of your back foot into the floor, lift your head, look up. Drawing your right hip back. Inhale, press down, stand up and pivot to the back of the mat. Turn your right foot in, turn your left foot out. Bend your front knee, sink down, front knee over ankle. Press the outside edge of your back foot into the floor. Square your hips, your shoulders towards the front end of your mat and sink down even more. Lift your gaze. Inhale, press down, release your arms and step your feet together. Walk to the back of your mat. Inhale, lift your arms up. Exhale, hinge forward, bend your knees and line up your fingernails with your toenails with your knees bent. Allow your head to drop. Float your hips over your ankles. Press the heel of your hand towards the floor and if it's available to you, begin to straighten your knees so that your backs of your knees move away from you. Look between your legs. Press the heel of your hands into the floor. You could also use blocks here. Inhale, press down, stand up. We should have moved into down dog. So from forward fold, moving into down dog, walk your hands forward, hands wider than shoulders, lift your hips up. And coming into child's pose again, and this time sideways child's pose. So walk your left hand forward, bend your elbow slightly, bring your right shoulder to the floor, turn your right palm up. Look under your left arm. Press the back of your right hand arm into the floor. And then sit back on your hips, on your heels. And then switch to the other side. Right hand on the floor, lift your left arm across the front of your body. Press the back of your left hand into the floor. Bend your right elbow, point your elbow towards the ceiling. And look under your right arm. Sink back on your hips again. And then come and sit on your heels. Clasp your hands behind your back. Interlace your fingers. And then round your back and bring your forehead to your knees. Lift your arms off your back.
more doable, wrists apart, more difficult, wrists together. Squeeze your heels together.
And make your way down onto your belly once more. Sliding your hands forward, stretch your legs out. Arms by your side, turn your palms up, squeeze your heels together. And then this time we lift arms and legs off the floor. So lift your legs off, lift your arms up, turn your thumbs up, lift your arms up as high as you can, lift your head and shoulders up as high as you can. And release. And making our way into down dog once more. Hands wide under shoulders, turn your toes up, lift your hips up. And then make your way onto your hands and knees and lift your right foot forward and place it in front of you, lining up your toes with your fingers. And lift your torso upright, or place your hands either side of your front foot. And then turn your back toes under and bring the outside edge of your back foot to the floor. And then clasp your hands behind your back and hinge forward and lift your arms off your back. And just check that your front heel is lined up and it's bisecting the arch of the back foot. Stretch your knuckles up towards the ceiling. Invite your arms to come vertical or beyond. Allow your head to drop, look back between your legs. Lower your arms, straighten your front knee, make your way up to standing. And turn your right foot in, turn your left foot out. Line up your front heel so it bisects the arch of your back foot and bend your front knee, sink down, knee over ankle, torso upright, invite your shoulder blades together on your back. Start off with your elbows bent and then lean forward. Inviting your head to come to the floor and then lift your arms off your back, stretch your knuckles up towards the ceiling, press the outside edge of your back foot into the floor, allow your head to drop. Lower your arms, begin to straighten your front knee and make your way up to standing. From here, we're moving into standing. No, we're not. We're moving into warrior two. So step your standing in the middle of your mat, facing the long side of your mat, step your feet wide apart. Turn your right foot out so it lines up with the middle of your back arch. Float your shoulders up. Both hands, arms in line with each other. Look out over your right hand arm. Bend your right knee, sink down. Move your right knee out in line with your ankle, with your second toe. Look out over your right hand arm. Press the outside edge of your back foot into the floor. Move your left hip back. breath by breath be in the pose. Press down, stand up, turn your right foot in, turn your left foot out, bend your front knee, sink down. Be careful not to lean out over your front leg. Knee over ankle, lift your chin, press the outside edge of your back foot into the floor, engage your core. Press down, stand up, allow your arms to come down. And we're moving into wide leg forward fold. So keeping your legs wide apart, place your hands on your hips, squeeze your elbows back, inhale, and we're only going down halfway. Lift your chest, stretch your spine, hinge forward, then squeeze your inner shins together, your inner thighs. If it's not possible for you to straighten your legs together, it's okay to have a bend in your knees. And just gaze out in front of you. And press down and stand up and step your feet together. And moving into warrior three, if you have two blocks, put them at the front of your mat. You can also do it without blocks by placing your hands on your hips, or if you have two books, put them at the front of the mat. So standing halfway back, excuse me, I'm going to take a drink of water. Standing halfway back, inhale your arms up, step forward with your right foot, lean forward and place your hands on the blocks at whatever height suits you. Then walk the blocks forward so that your blocks are under your shoulders, yeah. And then turn your back knee so that you're quite level across your buttocks here. Stretch your left leg out behind you, look out in front of you. Engage your quad and both legs, straighten the standing leg. Hug the muscles to the bones in your arms and on your legs. And gently release and stand up. Walk to the back of the mat. Come into mountain and just feel the sensation in your right foot, your right hip, your right leg. And we'll move into the other side. Inhale, lift your arms up. Step forward with your left foot, lean forward, place your hands on the blocks, lift your right leg up behind you, flex and point it. Lower that foot to the floor. And we're coming into squat pose. Separate your feet hip width apart. And we're endeavouring to keep our heels on the floor. Sit back on your heels. It's easier to do with your feet apart. If you're going really well, see if you can bring your feet closer together. And then press your knees into your elbows into your knees. sit down, and we're going to come into eagle lying down. So lying our backs and cross, bring your knees into your chest and cross your right leg over your left leg, and if you can take the double bind, take the double bind. Will absolutely fine to have outside of calf to outside of calf, and then right leg should be over, right thigh should be over your left thigh, and then lift your left arm and wrap the right underneath and hug the midline. If your shoulders are too tight, you can also bring your elbows together, arms together, palms together. So when we get here then, move our elbows so that our forearms come parallel with the ceiling. Bring your knees in closer to your chest, press your lower back into the floor, invite your shoulder blades onto your back. Keep both feet active. Shins parallel to the ceiling. And release that and switch to the other side, noticing the sensations in both legs and hips and shoulders. And then lift your left leg and cross it over your right thigh. Take the double wrap if that's available to you, and then lift your right arm and wrap the left underneath, or simply bring your elbows together and then move your elbows so that your elbows are more over your shoulders, which makes your forearms parallel to the ceilings. Then draw your knees in closer so your shins are parallel to the ceiling. Press your lower back into the floor. Hug the midline. And release your arms, release your legs, come into constructive rest. So walk your feet out so that your feet are on the edges of your mat, knees bent, heels in front of hips, and allow your knees to lean in towards each other. And then place your hands on your abdomen, palms facing down, index fingers touching, pointing towards your pubic bone, thumbs touching, pointing towards your navel. Observe your breath. And make your way onto your hands and knees. Moving into a twisted lunge. So lift your knee off the floor, bring your right foot forward, and move your left hand out to the edge of your mat. And then either bring your right hand to your hip and roll your shoulders back, your ribs back, and stay here, or lift your top arm up. Lift your chest, look up. And switch to the other side. Front foot back, back foot forward. Place your right hand towards the outside edge of your foot, ankle under knee, and then either place your left hand on your hip or lift your left arm up to vertical. Roll your ribs back, your shoulder back, move your chin back, look up. Externally rotate both arms, turn the soft fleshy biceps towards the front of your mat. Invite your shoulder blades onto your back. Flare your toes in your back foot. Keep your feet where they are, lower your left hand and reach and clasp your ankle, your right ankle, and bring your ankle into your hip. Then move your hips forward and down, walk your right hand forward, and then roll your left hip back, your left ribs back, lift your chest, move your ears back, come back to your breath. And gently release and switch to the other side. Front foot back, back foot forward. Reach back with your right hand, clasp your ankle, move your hips forward and down, roll your right ribs back, your right shoulder back, squeeze your heel into your hip, stretch your spine, lift your chest. And release. And coming into one hand arm pose. Stretch your legs out in front of you. And just check the time. And bend your right knee and clasp your right foot with both hands. And lift your foot off the floor so your shin is parallel to the ceiling. Line up your ankle with your knee, and then just move your knee slightly out to the right, and then inhale and stretch that, draw your knee back towards you, but press down with your sit bones and sit up. Press through your extended leg with your heel, press the back of your right thigh into the floor. Keep drawing your right leg back. Engage your core. Release that foot to the floor and switch to the other side. Bend your left knee, bring your heel into your hip. Clasp your foot with both hands and lift your heel off the floor. Shin parallel to the ceiling, and then draw that knee back under your left armpit. Press your sit bones into the floor, press through your right heel and press the back of your thigh into the floor. Lift your gaze. Keep drawing that knee back. And gently release. And come and make your way up to gate pose. Kneeling up straight. Lift your right leg out to the side. You might want to grab your block or your book at this stage. And line up your front heel so it's bisecting the shin of the left leg. And square your hips, your shoulders to the front of the mat. And then place your hand on the block so that your elbow is touching your knee, your right hand, and lift your left arm over. Look up towards your left hand arm. Inhale and come back up to center and switch to the other side. Stretch your left leg out, point your toes, bring your toes to the floor, place your block. Inhale, lift your arm up and over the top of your right ear. Look up towards your palm. Inhale and come back up to center. Moving into M Sage 1. Stretch your legs out in front of you. Bend your right knee. Place your heel in front of your hip. Lift your right arm up. Lean forward so that your right shoulder, your right arm are on the inside of your right knee. Turn your thumb towards the floor and then bring your arm around behind you. Now you may need a strap here or a belt, and then lift the left arm way out to the side and clasp both hands behind your back. And then line up your right heel with your hip hinging forward, gaze beyond your toes. Stretch through the left heel of your left leg. Press the back of your left thigh into the floor. Come back to your breath. On every inhalation, stretching forward. On every exhalation, sinking down. Engage your core, get out of your own way. Inhale back up to centre and switch to the other side. Stretch your right leg out, bend your left knee, place your heel in front of your hip. Lift your left arm up, lean forward, lean forward, bring your left shoulder to the inside of your left knee, turn your thumb down, bring your arm right around the back behind you, and lift your right arm out to the side, clasp both hands behind your back, lift your chest and then hinging forward. Inhale, stretch forward, exhale, sink down. Inhale and come back up to centre. Moving into M Sage 3, switch legs again, stretch your left leg out, bend your right knee. Place your right hand on the floor behind you. Lift your left arm up. And then bring your left elbow to the outside of your right knee. Press elbow into knee, knee into elbow. Draw your right shoulder back, your right ribs back. And look back over your right shoulder, but press down with your sit bones into the floor. So elbow into knee, knee into elbow, using that as leverage. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, move the ribs back even further. Your right ribs, your right shoulder. Inhale, come back to centre and switch to the other side. Bend your left knee, lift your right arm up, bring your right elbow to the outside of your left knee. You can have it straight out like that, or you can bend your elbow like that, whichever feels good for you. And then roll your left ribs back, your left shoulder back, parallel your collarbones to the side of the room. Sitting up straight, look back over your left shoulder, inhale, stretch up, exhale, twist. You can even put your hand on a block or a book behind you. And release. Coming into staff pose, press through your heels, feet together, more difficult, feet hip width apart, more doable. Press the heels of your hands into the floor, broaden across your collarbones, increase the curve in your lumbar spine, engage your core, move your ears back, sit tall, push through your heels on your extended legs. moving into west stretch. You can do this either with your knees slightly bent or your legs straight. More doable, feet inner hip width apart, more difficult together. So inhale, lift your arms up, exhale, hinging forward from your hips, soften your elbows and just gazing just beyond your feet. Inhale, come back up to centre, moving into bridge pose. Come and lie on your back, bend your knees, place your heels in front of your hips, feet hip width apart. If you wish, which I might do this evening, is take a block and place it under your sacrum and put it at a height that suits you. It can be fairly high or middling or the lowest height. So press your heels into the floor, arms by your sides. Inhale, lift your hips off the floor, slide your block in underneath. Turn your palms up and just relax here for a moment. And for those that don't have a block or a book, you're pressing down with your heels into the floor and you're lifting your hips up. Engaging your core, lift your chin out of your chest, broaden across your collarbones, invite your shoulder blades onto the back. And if you're lifting the hips up, see if you can lift them 5 to 10% higher right now. And gently release, place your block off to one side and allow your feet to walk out to the long edges of the mat, keeping a bend in your knees, and then allow your knees to come down to the left. Come onto the outside edge of your left foot and the inside edge of your right foot, keeping your feet wide apart out of the long edges of the mat. Make goalposts of your arms, turn your palms up towards the ceiling, endeavouring to keep your shoulder blades on your back, and then inhale, lift your head off the floor, look away from your knees, place your head back on the floor. The side of your face is on the floor, sort of. Inhale back to centre, allow your knees to come down to the right, and then lift your head off the floor and look away from your knees and turn it and place it on the floor again. And just let go. Moving into happy baby on the right hand side, curl your right knee in and clasp your right foot. If this is not available for you, use a strap or a belt and loop it over the sole of your right foot. And then keeping your knee bent, bring your shin vertical so that the sole of your foot is parallel to the ceiling. Draw down with the sole of your right foot with both hands as if to bring your right knee to the floor on the right hand side of your body. Stretch your left leg out, press through your left heel, press the back of your left thigh into the floor, press your lower back into the floor, and remember, invite your shoulder blades onto your back. Release that foot to the floor, stretch it out and curl your left knee into your chest. Clasp your left foot with both hands, shin vertical, sole of foot parallel to the ceiling. Draw down on the sole of your foot and push up with the sole of your foot into your hands. Push through your right heel, press the back of your right thigh into the floor, shin vertical, engage your core. If your chin is in your chest, just lift it slightly. Head on the floor. And now bring both knees into your chest, clasp the outside edges of both feet with your hands, drawing down on the soles of your feet with the soles of your feet parallel to the ceiling. Shins vertical, press your lower back into the floor. Don't forget to breathe. Keep holding your feet, bring your ankles together, your knees together. Begin to stretch your legs up towards the ceiling. Keeping your legs engaged, press the backs of your thighs up towards the ceiling, push through your heels. Invite your toes come towards the floor. Soften your elbows, keep pressing the backs of your knees up towards the ceiling. Press your lower back into the floor. Look at your shins or the ceiling. Squeeze your knees together. And bring your knees into your chest. And then keeping them tight into your chest, roll onto your right hand side, bring your knees to the floor, your ankles to the floor. Arms stretched out, turn your palms up, and then look away from your knees again by lifting your head off the floor and placing them back on the floor. And bring both knees back into center and roll the other way. Bring your knees to the floor, stretch your arms out, look back. Inhale back into center, place your feet on the floor, and then keeping your left foot on the floor, both feet on the floor, knees bent in front of hips. Curl your right knee into your chest, clasp your right thigh and push up through your heel of your right leg. Press the left foot into the floor, press your lower back into the floor, then draw the thigh towards you, your right thigh towards you, endeavouring to keep your knee from bending, keep your leg as straight as is possible for you. Lower that leg to the floor and switch to the other side. Curl your left knee in, clasp your thigh and stretch your leg up. And then keeping the leg straight, draw the whole leg towards you. bring both knees into your chest and give yourself a wonderful, loving, kindly hug. If you wish, rocking gently from side to side, just feeling how good that feels. And it's time to make our way into relaxation. So if you wish to get yourself a blanket or put on something to keep yourself a little bit warm, and come and lie down on your back, bringing your attention to your breath. Take a couple of deep breaths and sink down into the floor. Dropping into a place of silence, of quietness. Silence is always there, it's only ever broken by sound. Begin to deepen your breathing. Bring your attention back into your body and onto the mat. Begin to awaken your body by moving your hands, your feet. Perhaps bend your knees, roll to one side, and make your way to sitting. Bring your hands together one last time to honour ourselves, each other, and the practice. We close with one Om. Exhale, inhale. Om. Thanks for practicing, thanks for coming to practice, and see you on the mat.